Jump on here live. Awesome. Happy holidays to everybody. Jump on a minute early. I usually sit here chomping at the bit to get on here and rap with you guys. Pretty cool. I kind of feel like I took a week off last Friday. I'm going to be running the live stream this Friday. It's kind of up in the air. Verdict is out a little bit on how you guys respond to the product that I threw down. I had a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Collaborations are kind of a treat for us because as engaging as these live streams are, they are still a little bit one-sided. And I think it just adds that third element to the program when we can bring multiple channel creators on and collaborate. So had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun this week actually. J Mac Investing, who's in the group here, invited me onto his channel as well. Had an awesome time actually talking with Jerry from GW Life. So pretty awesome story actually. And I got to thinking after I tuned off, you wouldn't have had that opportunity. It came up in the live stream to get to collaborate with those folks. And this is usually the time when I do some reflection on the year and the year's end. This year, for me personally, has been crazy, to say the least. It really has. You'll go through the title of this video is taking a little bit of money and turning it into something. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are moving into 2020 that are in that camp of watching their money grow slowly. I just saw Jamie with Money Matters pop on, who was also, I've done some really cool collaborations over the last couple weeks, but I know when you're in that wealth building stage and you're looking at your portfolios and you wish that you could sprinkle some pixie dust over it and make it grow quicker, really just need to exercise some patience. This investing game is an interesting one. We try to put you on the best path to success, and a lot of those things that we talk about with regard to traditional ways of approaching the market. And I know there's sometimes tired topics that get thrown out there all the time, but I get hit with the question all the time. I mean, if this is what euphoria feels like in the stock market, wait until next January when this Brexit thing actually does happen. I really think some folks perhaps maybe get a nice jarring taste to some volatility when that actually does go through. I think the market has anticipated this for quite some time. But I think there's going to be some prospects for some volatility once this Christmas euphoria 2019 has just been a banner year. There's been some volatility, but none really that stuck out to me as being something that we couldn't weather and potentially even take advantage of. I know buy the dip was a great strategy throughout the year this year. I'm nothing short of humbled this year because I'm a little bit. I spent a lot of years going through those times when my portfolios were, five, six, $10,000, and I would go through my years and I would reflect at year's end and question whether or not I was doing the right thing. And I know there's probably some folks out there that are maybe looking at their program. Maybe you're excited. I don't know. Maybe you've turned in some good passive opportunity in the market this year. That's awesome. But I think investing is a fickle game. It really is. It's really an interesting mechanical type of deliberation when you invest. It's so inhuman. It's really one of those things that I do contend everybody should do. Um, as long as you prepare yourself in a way that gives you the greatest chance of success. Okay. I've got a ton of channel creators here. I just saw Money Matters and Matt Money both. That's a mouthful. I just said it back to back. Don't ask me to do it 10 times in a row. But I do have a list here, and it was really cool. I've had the unique opportunity having a little bit of time to myself over the last couple weeks to actually jump on and collaborate and put some names to the faces. I will be the first to say I'm ecstatic, man, by the company that we are finding ourselves in. I woke up this morning and I hadn't even made coffee yet. And my favorite YouTube channel posted a video this morning as I was kind of catching up and watching a little bit of pre-market. Gen X dividend investor dropped AT&T, a deep dive review of AT&T. Phenomenal, in line with how I feel about all of his videos, quite frankly. On point. I enjoyed the offering. I really did. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I'm a shareholder as well. I don't own quite the position. It's quite interesting to see how generous and transparent that channel creator is with regard to the holdings in that portfolio. So you're getting a little bit of different perspective. What I mean by that is you've got some pretty robust portfolios in the group, and then you've got some starting portfolios in the group that are just starting to churn and cut teeth and work for themselves. But I think the investing game, the beauty of it is it's all relative. I really do. Your portfolio, I can remember nowadays. I look at where we are, and I'm just tickled. I don't know how the hell we got here. Well, I do. I'm pretty aggressive on the program that we run, and I have investing right there at the top of the priority list. But I'm so thankful. I really am. But there was not a whole lot of time in my life where I didn't look at my investing portfolio, even if it was with a few $1,000s when I started. And I wasn't proud to call myself an investor. And I think it's cool for anybody that are making their way into this live stream and get to engage with these community members that have come on and offered their time as well to new investors. I will go through and I will cherry pick anybody in this group that's making their way to the live stream for the first time. I absolutely will. I'll cherry pick you out of the group, and hopefully I can extract and get some really rooted questions. I've had some good ones come through the channel this week, and we definitely want to continue to drive down toward an awareness piece of how exciting it is to be a stock market investor right now. There's just too much opportunity, and we want to make sure that that opportunity is being pushed out to anybody that wants to consume that. You guys know what type of program I run on the Independent Investor channel. I have made some pretty aggressive investments in the channel throughout the course of 2019. That helps offset some of the revenue that we're starting to generate on the channel. Not much, guys, not much. I would still consider this a side hustle, but nonetheless, we do need to offset some of the revenue that we're pulling in, and you guys are the beneficiaries of that. Hopefully, you can appreciate the good sound and the good light that we have coming through. I wish I was better looking. I can't do anything about that. I do apologize, okay? But I'm not a plastic surgery guy either, so don't expect that. But if you do want some raw stock market awareness, portfolio, and wealth building, taking a small amount of money and building it into something special, yeah, now you're in my wheelhouse, okay? So welcome to the channel. It's great to have everybody. Happy holidays to everybody. Definitely kick back. I know Jason said that he was going to enjoy himself and kick back and enjoy this. Certainly, there's a ton of channel creators in this thread, so I want to make sure and give my proper shout outs. But Gen X Dividend Investor was the first one in the thread. There's a bunch others. I got Dave here from Hidden Freedom Investing. Got to actually meet Dave. When I say that, it's via YouTube, but hell, that's good enough for me because I'm not going to fly out to Colorado to meet him face to face. Maybe someday we'll have the opportunity to do so, but maybe we'll do so in a place like Las Vegas. What the heck? I'm kind of crazy like that, but Hidden Freedom Investing these are all great channel creators. Okay. So if you are not a channel creator and you're making your way into the thread tonight, certainly want to throw these folks into your favorites. Get over, subscribe to the channels. It costs you nothing. And for a lot of these folks, when I watch some of their videos, I don't watch them all, but I do try to support as much as I can. Some of these folks, I kind of feel guilty about how transparent they are about forwarding the information out there to people. And it's amazing, man. What a great opportunity to understand how a lot of different people seek their exposure to the stock market, man. It's something special, no doubt about it. But I got Travis Williams here. I saw Travis pop into the group as well. Pretty awesome. I just think the last quarter of this year, I've been introduced to more channel creators than I can remember in years past. I had a handful of folks, and I really have lost track with a lot of those folks. And I think the channel creators that I'm engaging with now are we're having a good time. It's a lot of fun. I think it's kind of an open invite to pop on and do some collaborative work. I just, again, would like to kind of balance and make sure that everybody's getting their fair shot. If I've got new folks that come in here, perhaps maybe it's a little bit more inviting, I guess, to have a little bit more engaging with myself. So, but I'm going to balance that a little bit. I think if it were my selfish decision, I would just do collaborations every Friday, but the verdict is still out because I really just want to make sure that it's received by the audience in the best way possible, and I'll adjust. Okay. I'm not going to run something through the channel that's not well received, but we will continue. We'll probably hopscotch and maybe do, next Friday, maybe a collab, or we'll wait, skip a week. I haven't made the decision whether or not we're going to throw down next week. We probably will. But I will probably look to hopscotch and do the collaborative, because there's a lot of channels that I would still like to invite on the channel. I know some of those are in the group here tonight. I know Travis I invited on. I know Big Ben's road to early retirement, which is kind of interesting. I don't like the word retirement. I really don't. I've said many times, I don't think folks like me retire. I just think we continue to do what it is we're doing. I was happy 20 years ago. I'll be happy 20 years from now. So I don't look at my life as crossing a finish line and then dropping down of exhaustion. I just don't look at life that way. I'm living the life that I want to live right now, and if it morphs into something even more entertaining into the future, I'm all about it. But pretty cool. Big Ben's road to early retirement is hailing from the great state of Oregon, the great Northwest. So we've got a kinship there. Welcome to him for sure. And again, let's kick over and help support. I got JM Dividend Investing, and I do apologize. It's a channel that I wasn't familiar with. That's what I was kind of asking before, because I always do this shout out to make sure that everybody's getting the opportunity to know who the folks are in the thread that come on and offer their own testimonial on how they seek out the market. And there's a freaking diverse group here. There really is. There's a lot of people who come onto the channel that are into real estate. There's a lot of people who come on or into the stock market in a lot of different forms. I was counting the different forms of my exposure, and I was able to count 5 today. So a lot of different perspectives. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to prescribe to one. But it's really interesting. If you were looking to maybe research the market a little bit, definitely want to read those books that are out there and available. There's a lot of available content online. But to be able to tune into a group, I endorse these guys not lightly, these guys and gals. I know there's been a couple channel creators that are female channel creators who have been frequenting the community and leaving me some pretty kind comments. I've invited them to come on as well. But super important. I think if you relate with one and not the other, great. As long as we get you to that end game of starting on your investment journey, of taking a small amount of money and turning it into something special, I think you'll thank us down the road for sure. I think it's an awesome opportunity. No better time to be an investor than right now. All right. And then, of course, I've got JMac Investing, who, 2019 has brought me to JMac Investing. I think I've popped onto his channel a couple times now anyway, maybe once invited. It was a collaboration we did, which was super good. And then I jumped on there kind of informally a couple more times as well. But just appreciate all Jason's work, man. Just an awesome guy for sure. And we've got great things around the corner in 2020, no doubt about it. Financial investor Brent is in the group. A little bit different channel creator in that he's He's been following me, and we've been building our channels together for a couple years now. So he's a little bit more old school with me, and time in the pocket means a lot to me. So happy holidays to you and your family, Brent, for sure. Thanks for popping on. I really appreciate it. And then I mentioned Money Matter, who was freaking awesome, and that was a fun collaboration. Jamie's in the group there down at the bottom, so pretty cool. Had a great time. It's just cool to put the face with the name and kind of hear those perspectives in real time. I think it loses a little bit of luster when you're having to type it. As a matter of fact, I think typing it kind of sets us back about 10 or 15 years. I envision a live stream of coming on here and actually talking to you guys, but eventually we'll get there. We really will. And finally, I want to call out, not last but not least, actually second to the last, Matt Money's in the group here as well, who's really been working hard on his channel as well. All the best to you. I think 2020 is going to be a big year for you, for sure. And good luck to you in all your endeavors. I appreciate you actually letting me pop onto a couple collabs as well, a couple of live streams that you were running. I hope you appreciated that. I was glad to do it. A lot of fun. And then finally, we've got GW Life TV. So Jerry's in the group here at the bottom of the thread. You guys were rocking and rolling before I got on here. If you guys do follow me on Instagram, kick over there. I've got a pretty cool picture on there. You guys know I've been throwing the portfolio updates on there. That's the easiest one-page shot brief, basically, that kind of gives you an idea of the power of the building of a larger portfolio, what is possible. Okay. And just to bring it home for you guys, those were started, probably 13, 14 years ago with $1,500 each. Okay. So what you're seeing there on the screenshot is a combination between the Roth IRAs and the joint accounts. The joint account is made up of strictly fixed income ETFs. So the only equities holdings are the Roth number 1 and Roth number 2. So that's the snapshot that I send out. It's not all inclusive, but at least it gets a good clean opportunity to kind of see market fluctuations from day to day. And it's a fun way for me to get used to my iPhone 11 as well. Evidently that function existed on my iPhone 6. I had no idea, but we've just taken an upgrade here recently. I'm learning a little bit more about the 11, as well as some of the aesthetics of the channel have changed. Starting to put my face out there again. I apologize for the looks. Again, I wasn't blessed with good looks, but that's what we've got. And hopefully you guys appreciate the small improvements to the channel. We'll continue to roll those out. You guys will be privy to those changes. Okay. There was some stock moves this week, to say the least, minor. And I think they were posturing moves at best. In the top of this thread, I went ahead and shared my aggressive 12 portfolio. I actually started that with M1 Finance, pulled the growth out of the Roth IRAs. I didn't like it. So all 4 of the growth names that I had in there were pulled and then reinvested in M1 Finance. Leveraged those profits. Of course, sold all 4 for profit. Of course, tax protected, right? You guys know how I roll. Took those little dabs of profit, maybe 400 total between all 4 of the names, so not a whole heck of a lot. Was able to beef up on some positions. I thought that Nike would beat, and they did. It's just their forecast for 2020 was a little light. So stock didn't really suffer too much, but I did double up Nike this week. That was an interesting position. I took the greatest Christmas present, I guess, from JMac Investing, and took a roll with Realty Corp, ticker symbol O. So we added that to the portfolio. There was a little bit of a concerted effort on both portfolios to add a little bit more growth. I'm having a real hard time as I've combed through. We picked up Prudential right at the end of the market today. That was looking like the best for the CAD year. I'm speaking like dividend investor right now, Gen X dividend investor, but that's what showed up on a few of my screeners. Full buys across the board and very good, low PE, close to 10. With a dividend yield over 4, so I couldn't beat that. And I believe the annual growth rate was close to 10%. Not too shabby. Price targets well up over 100. So I've owned it before. I've made good money with it, but had a little bit of room to be had in the financial sector, so I went ahead and took that position. And a few other positions. Gen X dividend investor. I had alluded to picking up Southern Company a couple weeks ago. I went ahead and did that. So I've got Southern Company and Duke. I held off on Dominion on valuation. So some interesting moves anyway, some fun moves. I took some profit in the total market index and the Vanguard's developed ETF that I held in the joint account. So I pulled both of those off of the table for profit, of course, right? Again, you know how I roll. That will be a short-term capital gains, so that will be taxed as income, no problem. We'll go ahead and we'll declare those here in a couple months when we go ahead and roll. Avi A says NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is in that 12. You guys are welcome to take a look at that aggressive portfolio that I've built. You guys can comment how you will. It's my money, so you can sit back and laugh at me if you'd like. It'll be me that's losing money if that's the way I did it. It's actually a defensive move, guys, to be honest with you. Because to have that big of a block in Google and Facebook, CRM, Salesforce, and Amazon, I just thought it was so much better of an opportunity to use M1 Finance. And if you guys are coming around or are researching the topic, guys, I'm starting to be sold. Now, the trading window still sits poorly with me. Okay. It's irritating, but M1 Finance, I went ahead and I put into the thread here my sector spider ETF. That's made up of just Vanguard ETFs for each of the 11 sectors in the S&P 500. Guys, I'm up 15%. That's again, this is not monopoly. This is real and open for scrutiny. Absolutely. I've had a few people in my Facebook group that have kind of come back to me and said, I don't know, Ryan, this might not work. I mean, you might as well just go with the S&P 500 and pick up the Vanguard ETF. Um, the way M1 Finance works, I really think is helping to accelerate this portfolio. What I mean by that is when those dividends are paid, they're always rolling back into the lowest allocation within the portfolio. So I just think it's a great way of not only generating wealth, but channeling that wealth back into the portfolio into the most beat down sector. So I can have an outperformer over here. All the portfolio pays. It's going to let that work and it's going to roll back into the other end of the portfolio that may be underperforming. And you're going to find this in the S&P 500 across all 11 sectors. You're going to have outperforming sectors. You're going to have underperforming. And I just think M1 Finance is providing an interesting entry and good on me for kind of trying the experiment. Okay. Again, you can throw stones at me if you'd like, but 15% since March isn't anything to shake a stick at. I'm satisfied with the performance that we've got on that small portfolio as we're knocking down the door to 3,000 as we look to turn the corner. So, guys, appreciate everybody making their way in here. I'm going to really try to get into this thread. There was a few comments that were made that were really good. I wanted to talk about in the stream itself. If you do have a beverage of choice, I highly encourage you to sit back and enjoy because I'm drinking coffee. And you guys know what happens when I drink coffee and not something else like apple juice. Okay. It's like golfing. Okay. The front nine, I'm on fire. The back nine, not so much. I kind of fall apart. All right. But we are drinking coffee this evening. So I'm just super stoked to be with you guys tonight. Let's kind of get into it. As I'm cruising back up through the thread, I would like to offer another shout out. I've added my last featured channel as well, to probably the most unloved as far as I'm concerned, and that's PPC Ian. Came out, did a focus group out there. I believe he held it in LA. That's the type of stuff that I really like seeing. That actually really resonated with me. I think he had 9 people from his community show up, meet up at a Starbucks, and just freaking sit across from each other and talk stock. I think that's legit. I think it goes to where I think the conversation regarding personal finance, personal opportunity with regard to your money should be going. And I really think it challenges the status quo and the topic of finances, in that a lot of people feel like it's a very faux pas topic. So kudos to PPC Ian. He does not pop into my live stream at all. But just caught his latest video where he was rolling out. That guy rolls out some serious material. So happy holidays to PPC Ian. Well deserving on my featured channels. That rounds that out. That's how that's going to stay for a while. Everybody that I've actually wanted to endorse kind of since the beginning. So um, I've got Bob right here in the group. A shout out to Mr. Bob as well. Happy holidays to you. He's wishing that everybody eat at McDonald's. Honestly, that kind of goes against one of my 20 things not to do in the New Year's. I hope you guys appreciated that. I did the good and the bad. I left the ugly off. And if you guys want me to get ugly, I can. There's no doubt about it. I may touch a few nerves with people if I do that, but he's wishing that everybody go eat more Happy Meals, so his stock can go up. I don't know. McDonald's is a little sideways right now. I say that tongue in cheek because I remember McDonald's seemingly not too long ago turning over 100. So here it is, bumping up against, and it's come back off of its 225 ish mark, below 200. Whatever. McDonald's is not one of those companies that you really need to be worrying too much about. You guys will appreciate one of the strategic goals in my portfolio. And again, you can call me a hypocrite if you'd like. That's fine. The moves that I disclosed to you at the top of the stream were actually very, very well thought through. And it really goes with my strategy of breaking up my portfolio in a manner that allows me the exposure that I want in the manner that I want. What I mean by that is the two Roths are built as dividend investing portfolios. Okay. They are passive in nature. And I've probably learned more over 2019 than I've ever learned about the prospects of seeking dividend yield in the portfolio. I've always just done it by default. When Gen X turns out a video and he's like, "Yeah, AT&T and 3M," I'm like, "Yep, yep, own it. Yep, yep, own it." So great minds think alike, I guess. I would put myself in good company by saying that. I don't mean to imply that I have a great mind, but it's interesting how different the philosophies can bring us to the same place when we're looking at, from an awareness perspective, these good names, these good companies that have been around for such a long time and given us those historical metrics to look at, to weigh against now currently when we're deliberating whether or not to become a participant in the actual stock itself. So really cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you want to help support Bob, certainly go. I mean, we're at McDonald's every other day. And that's my running joke, is that we own stock in the company. So yeah, help him out for sure. I've got Avi A who posts some bigger losers in the thread here. Biggest losers year to date: F, Ford, CGC, and Twilio. Um, I've never invested in Ford ever. I don't think I've bought any of the major automakers ever, actually. Um, I would like to mark this evening actually as one of the most historical nights in the history of the Independent Investor Channel. And you guys can deem me a turncoat for sure. But I think I invested like $300 in Tesla just to say I'm invested in Tesla. So you guys will leave me alone. $300 well spent. Leave me alone. All right. They just turned a profit. We're good. I can't ignore it anymore. It's really interesting and ironic in that look at the exposure that I'm looking at. Okay. Instead of saying, okay, Ryan, you turncoated us. All right. Yep. You got me. I'm guilty. But good on me for providing the transparency that I do. Um, Tesla and Uber, I actually think Uber's a better investment at this point, but it fit really well in that 12 high growth names that I wanted. When I say high growth, I don't really consider Google high growth, nor do I consider Facebook high growth, but they are in that portfolio nonetheless. We've got Adobe Systems, Amazon, Nvidia, Netflix in there. We've got PayPal in there. These are stocks that I want to be exposed to them, but I want to be exposed to them with some relative scale. Okay. Booking Holding is another one. Phenomenal business. Okay. But it's not anything that I want to take a large position. And you'll see I put a $5,000 bill on that portfolio. We will dollar cost that average just like any responsible investor, and we will see where it goes. Over the last 5 years, that portfolio would have rendered about 237% in returns. So it satisfies my growth, my need for some growth profile in the portfolio. And I think you guys can appreciate, and certainly if you disagree with the move, I'd love to hear some of that controversy. Tell me I'm an idiot. That's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I get pretty defensive when people come on and they want to say, hey, I disagree with your move, but they do it in a very, very rude manner, constructively critical for sure. If you like the move, you guys can kind of understand a little bit of my deliberation as to why I'm doing that. Okay. So the two Roths are built as passive income portfolio. They're chucker blocked full of ETFs that pay dividends and single stock that pay dividends. Okay. Some of the aristocrats, the dividend kings that are out there, those are in the portfolio the way that I want. I scour through the landscape quite often, and my portfolio is indicative of a portfolio that I would have dreamed of. Okay. And so when I share that, I'm sharing my dream. Okay. Now the fixed income and the joint, that's another aspect. I think it's about 11 or 12% of the total overall. You'll see every now and then I'll roll out a cash pillar video where I disclose my cash on hand. That's a strategic move that I make personally. And I think a lot of you guys may appreciate that. Okay, Ryan, you hold a lot of cash on the side. You're going to dump it all on the stock market when I think it's bottomed. You would be mistaken by that. I I will strategically look at those opportunities when they come, but I don't think like that. I just don't. I could lose all of my portfolio holdings if the stock market went to zero. I would be fine. Okay, would I be happy about it? No, not really. No, I wouldn't be happy, but would I be fine? My point is, do I have every single dollar that I have ever saved in my life or earned exposed to the stock market? No. Now, am I willing to take on the chance of the prospects of an Apple computer and a Disney and a JP Morgan Chase continuing to run good businesses for the next foreseeable future? Probably. Are the odds that those fine companies outlive me? Yeah, probably. I just find it ironic how a lot of people default to the primary, what I just said, that the stock market is too risky to even get involved with, when in fact, the reality of the situation is that I feel like McDonald's going to be around for a long, long time. And by God, giddy up, because I'm going to be a participant in that fine company and a lot of others. That's just the way I approach investing. And if I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong as a participant. I'm certainly not going to reflect back on my life and say, I wish I would have freaking done that. No, no way. I've said to a few people, and I'll say it now, you only have one shot at this. And it's really hard to ignore the opportunities in the market now. Really, there's a lot to be thankful for. There's been a lot of revolutionary changes in investing in the market, the access to information, the access to collaborate and consume your stock market information however you choose. Free investing. It's putting pressure on the industry, in my opinion, in a good way. And I think the industry would probably scoff at what's going on. Nah, M1 can't make a ripple. Robinhood is not going to make a difference. Webull. I beg to differ. I think people are smarter than they've been perceived to be over the last 30 years in the industry. Absolutely. I believe that they've rode a wave where they've got a lot of people duped into believing that their only access to the market had to come at the feet of the financial planners. And I totally, 30 years ago, that might have been more true than it is today, for sure. With the level of access that we have, I think that was about the eighth account that I started. So you guys can kind of get a feeling for the cash pillar, the fixed income, the passive portfolios, the S&P 500 spiders, right? I've got all 11 sectors in one of the M1 finance accounts, and then the other one is the growth aspect. And I'm going to look at each one of them strategically. It just gives me a multitude of options to fire away at and allow my money to compound on itself. Now, I'm looking for capital appreciation, obviously, but I believe Google and Facebook and Amazon aren't going anywhere either. So I was willing to take that shot on those companies that I was willing to hold in M1 Finance for a long amount of time, that of which I can dollar cost average up. And then when it gets up to an amount where it's respectable, I'll consolidate those accounts and revolve them, roll them back into the joint account to basically make a monster account. That's my goal. All right. So I hope you guys are finding the same opportunity with M1 Finance. It's really cool. It's a cool platform. It makes investing fun. It really does. It's got its downfalls. It really does. But I think even in light or even with some of those deficiencies of the platform, which I actually think they may look to improve upon. But for the people who are loyalists to the platform, which I wouldn't consider myself a loyalist, I just think it provides some very unique opportunity through partial share purchases and through portfolio reinvesting, which I don't know any other platform that provides that portfolio reinvestment. And in both of my accounts that I own with them, I'm strategically using that very benefit in both of them, right? So if NVIDIA is down 1 month, the contributions that go in there will actually roll into those lower opportunities. So you got to figure if there's going to be 2 or 3 of them that are going to be underperforming for the course of a couple months, you would anticipate that those fundings would roll into that. It's just a beautiful thing. It just makes perfect sense to me. And I'm excited to be seeking out my exposure in that manner. And I hope you guys are resonating with that message. All right. All right. Let's scroll down here. I've got AVA in the group here as well. Thought about adding McDonald's today. Have been accumulating shares since October. That's awesome. I've done 2 buys on McDonald's. That's it. I think at both of these prices, I think they're overvalued. But I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit on the sideline and wait for that opportunity? See, I look at it twofold. I look at it if I enter into the stock and I feel like the company is still a little bit overvalued, um, which you can sit on the sideline and justify not buying the stock when it's like that. Or you can buy a position that would be lesser of what you would have bought had you felt like it was an AbbVie at $50, which was an absolute bargain. Okay, there's been a few of them, and you guys are going to have to fine tune your opportunistic buying. Bristol Myers Squibb offered another one just a couple months ago. Okay, and when those opportunities come, you've got to really pounce on them. That was the takeaway from the Gen X AT&T video, is he was able to pick that up at $31, the first entry, and then had enough discipline to say, look, I'm going to buy into the stock sub 30 if it does dip. And lo and behold, what happened? So it provided 2 different entry points around the 30 mark. And I believe the second entry was around $29 a share. That's how you do it. Okay. There's no secret magic. There's no secret sauce. It's just asking yourself, what if? What is my level of comfort now entering into the position? And am I setting myself up to maybe grab the dip? I mean, in McDonald's, what if it ends up in the 150s? Are you positioned to maybe pick up a couple shares if you can? Right? 3M has just went through a huge swoon this year. I think it's a buy. Now it didn't stay at 150 for very long, but I actually think that would have been the time to start accumulating 3M. Uh, but right here, it's kind of in no man's land a little bit because I think the company is going through a little bit of heartache. And so it's justified to be in this no man's land. But I think it sees 200 before it does low 150s. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I own the shares long no matter what. Am I in a position to buy more if it goes down? Absolutely. It's just looking at your positions in a lot of different ways other than just when to buy and when to sell. Okay. I would rather you look at many other options other than selling stock. Okay. When you're looking and evaluating your positions, okay. How can I set this up on a drip? How can I maximize my opportunity with the stock by just holding it? How can I fund the position up? How can I buy down the position? I'm not a big fan of stop losses. I've never used them. I never will. But to each his own. Okay. I'm not your father, just your friend through YouTube. That's all, providing some insight on how I see my entry to the market. And I'm not a big, if I had been stopped out of every position that I ever put in, I would have lost half of my positions. Could I get better entries? Yeah, but nobody has that crystal ball. Nobody. And I would just rather enter into quality companies, knowing that if it does hit a hiccup, or a company like Boeing does have an unfortunate accident right after I invest in it, right? You can't foresee those things. Okay. And when they do happen, it doesn't mean that you have to stop yourself out of every stock that you buy. Be patient. Okay. Remember all the research that you did to understand that Boeing is a phenomenal company then and now and will be in the future. Okay. So be an investor. Okay. Don't be an emotional pendulum back and forth. Okay. You're going to go bat crazy trying to do that. And it's no way to live. Have control over your money. Don't allow your money to control you. Okay. I would rather have you not invest at all if that's the way you're approaching your stock market journey, because it should be much more rewarding than that for sure. All right, let me cruise down here. I'm going to try to extract some of it says Kaiser, Oregon. I miss the Northwest Hill. I haven't been back there in a long, long time for sure. He says, I love Southern Oregon. It's awesome. It's really nice. But I want to make sure I got Craze 2 fan in the group and all good, a friend of every single one of these channel creators for sure. All good is probably the supporter of the year. If we could give a subscriber of the year, I think all the channel creators would probably agree for me, agree with me on that for sure. But all good is probably one of the best supporters in the community. Always leaving kind comments, and I know is appreciative of the message that we're trying to put through for folks. And as long as it's being empowering, and as long as the message is being received in the correct way, then I'm all about it. Okay, good stuff. I've got Eric Weber, great friend of the channel as well, right above. I got Greg Cami, who's awesome friend of the channel, great subscriber, always leaves the kindest comments. And I was pretty proud of the 2 videos we put out this week. I think we put out more than that, but the 2020 videos, I liked that product. I think it was fine. I wasn't sure how it would be received. Pushing out a 30-minute video onto YouTube, those aren't very received well. It was received by the subscriber base. And if you're wiser for it, thank you for watching that content. I really appreciate it. I was satisfied with how it turned out. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. But Greg Cammy's always had my back for sure. Really appreciate the support. All right. S&P broke 32. Wow. Yeah. So if this isn't euphoria in the market, I'm confused. And if you guys are looking to me for some level of testimonial that all will be well, Again, we're 1 month away from a Brexit, and that ought to be interesting next month. You know, I can remember when the Brexit dialogue started. I think it was significantly a longer time ago than just since it's been being deliberated in the Parliament from 2016. I think it was much more before that when the stock when it started. And there was some real volatility when those discussions have taken place. And I hope the market has absorbed and priced in some of those. I don't believe that it has. I don't. I believe that it's going to be a catalyst to introduce a very overdue correction. I just, uh, I'm not 100% on this bandwagon. I think that's indicative of the moves that I'm making in the portfolio right now. That's why it's important. That's why I disclose those moves to you guys and kind of let you know why I pared back on that. So I don't own VTI right now. I took that profit. I've always said on the channel, right? I don't really like owning VTI and VOO at the same time. I really think you can get ahead by owning one or the other. Okay, so for you guys that heard me on that, please heed my thoughts on that. And so it gave me the opportunity to take some good profit in the VTI, in the taxable, and then continue to use VOO in the one Roth, which is what I wanted to do. So that's what we did. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing year to be a market in the market. 28% on the S&P 500. Something that I pick up, I've watched a lot, if not most of the Gen X. I think there's a few alibis. And it's interesting. I'd really love to know Gen X dividend investors' thoughts on, single stock investing versus the S&P 500 or total market investing. I think he's an anomaly. I do. But I think for the masses of investors, if you took a pool of 1,000 people and said, here you go, here's $1,000, those folks that just took that $1,000 and just threw it into the S&P 500, it would be interesting to run a contest and see how those folks fared as opposed to the folks that were allowed to take that $1,000 and invest it in any single stock that they want, any number of single stocks that they want, or as few a single stocks as they want, and see who underperforms the market, who matches the market, and who actually creates alpha when compared to the market. And it's been a few things that I've picked up in the invest. It got picked up this morning as well when he was doing the cross comparison. He uses SPY for his S&P 500 cross comparisons. I think they're really sharp. But it's just amazing the underperformance of an AT&T and a Verizon, which Verizon was the cross comparison. He usually tries to take, a brother and sister and compare them within the same industry, which I think is just awesome. But if the bottom line is a money game, I just think the allure of single stock investing for a lot of people gets people on a track that may subject them to some underperformance. And I'd love to know the perspective on that, and I would say that he's probably exempt from that. Obviously, does his homework, but I think when we start to apply how it is we seek our exposure to the stock market, what are our options out there? I mean, there's only a handful of options. Okay, there's not a major league McDonald's and there's not a minor league McDonald's. There is just McDonald's Corp. Okay. There's only one 3M company. Now, 3M company, whether or not you want to seek a couple bits of exposure through an ETF in 3M, wonderful. If you want to buy the underlying stock, you can do that too. But there's only so many ways you can seek out your exposure to the market. And it's always an interesting deliberation of mine to make sure that if you're doing everything right in preparing yourself and entering into the correct account, taking into consideration tax protection, again, anomaly, right? Higher than average income. So kind of out of the conversation to be eligible for Roth IRA contributions, but he would agree, if you're eligible, you should be putting that money away. That could be the greatest wealth building account that you're able to open. And if you're eligible for such things, I would highly encourage you to look at the prospects of doing just that. Guaranteeing your tax obligation down the line at 0% is a very powerful thing. And for me, a generational inherited Roth IRA is very interesting. It's not talked about very often, but I kind of know myself, and that'll probably be the road that ends up happening with me, because there's no way in hell I can spend all this money in retirement. No way. I mean, if I'm doing what I'm doing in retirement to make me happy, which will probably be a lot of the things that I do right now, then I will live an old man being very happy in this life, because that's the truth of the whole matter, is that I'm pretty happy most of the time. All right, cruise down here. Thank you, Craze 2 fan. That was a pretty interesting 4-word statement that I turned into a 20-minute rant, but I do appreciate that. All 3 indices hit record highs today. Crazy. I was going to take a snapshot. It was a pretty good picture, actually. So it's a, what can I say? It's a proud moment to be an investor. You know, this is why we invest. It's not like this all the time. All right. It's not. When it gets ugly, it gets ugly. And I want you to make a mental note. Make a mental note. Make a mental note. Make a mental note about what's going on right now. Okay. Don't forget it. Don't forget it when you are reminded that there are 2 sides to the coin in the stock market. Okay. Do yourself a favor. I know I'm going to take abuse. You know how much abuse I take on the Independent Investor channel right now? Zero. Zero. I'm an absolute hero, right? Which the truth of the matter is, I'm just a regular guy, okay? Regular guy who has generated above average wealth, okay? Just regular guy. Take it a step further, provide a testimonial on how I've sought out turning a little bit of money into a lot of money. I think it's interesting. I think some other people would think that's interesting as well. Okay. But it's amazing to me how quickly the tables can turn, because I've been through it many, many times. Some of the seasoned investors that are in the group that I'm getting to know, but don't really know that well. I don't mean to imply that I know some of them have actually been through it. I know Dave, probably with Hidden Freedom, and JMac, I don't think has been investing that long. Okay. And I don't mean to impugn Jay's work, but if you've been investing less than 10 years, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you've been investing for more than 10, you know what that feels like. Okay. And the interesting part about coming onto social media and being so transparent is I'll take a mental note, which I do, for the people who are all about investing right now. This is lovely. This is lovely. And I'm calm. Yeah. Am I confused? Yeah. Yeah. Is it good to be an investor? Yeah, it's good. But take it with a grain of salt. Okay. I'm not one of those people that um, look at money as being the judge of who you are. Okay. I would expect that money for each and every one of you guys, if you take a page out of my playbook, it is just an extension of yourself. It is an opportunity for you to get right what a lot of people get really, really wrong. Okay. It's that controllable. And it's ironic to me how many people that I meet where money controls them. It does. Money controls them. And it brings me to one of my comments that I got in and I think it was along that. I don't remember exactly what I said in things to do in 2020. But I was basically making the point that if you work really, really hard up front, it's amazing how money kind of It doesn't need to be focused on so much. Okay. And the irony in that is that so many people will go through their entire life, and every single day, I don't have enough. I got this bill to pay. I'm not going to make that much this month. I've got this unexpected. Oh my God, here we go. This is one day. And they compound those days on top of each other. I got an auto problem. Holy crap. I got to pay. I got to get the gas in the car. Oh my God. I got to pay the insurance. Oh my goodness. I've got these bills. Oh my goodness. I'm the only one in the world with bills. Right. My heart definitely goes out to those expenditures if they can't be met with income. But there is a solution. There really is. Because you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing every day? And observers like me are just like, that's a crazy way to live, you know? Maybe it's not working for you. Maybe you can change your game up a little bit. If you've got your finances on a shelf, okay, and you've been with that financial planner for 20 years, maybe it is time to break up. Maybe it is time to take more control. Maybe it is time for you to take a hard look at those 20 years and say, how have I performed over the last 20 years? Many people are unwilling to actually ask those hard questions. Look in the mirror. How am I actually doing? Are you scared? I would be. Look, if you can come back to me and say, yep, we've outperformed the market every single year by owning that high cost mutual fund, lovely. I'll eat crow. But I don't like crow, and I wouldn't put a statement out there if I didn't know that I was right. So good luck in your deliberation. Okay. If you want to continue to, and I'm not saying that people aren't struggling out there to make ends meet. All right. But you have to ask yourself, how much do you want that would make me not want to sleep. I would want to change my life so much that I would get out of bed, no matter how tired I was, and sit down at my office and think, how the hell can I change this crazy path that I somehow ended up on? All right. Stuff to think about moving into 2020 for sure. All right. Good stuff. Travis. So Craze 2, to spend a ton of time, man. I'll have to send him a bill. I'm just kidding. He asks a great question. Should I sell my VOO now and buy it back when it drops? Jesus, you have no idea how many times I've been asked that question on the channel, man. 3 years, I've probably been asked that question over 100 times. Here's my rant. This won't be painful. It'll be easy. Why did you invest in the S&P 500 in the first place, right? Was it to get you the diversification you sought out? Was it to give you the opportunity to take those 2 bits and roll them back into the portfolio and allow yourself some dividend reinvestment, right? Do you have a dollar cost average program attached to it? Can you throttle the dollar cost average program back and channel those to surplus cash? Okay. None of the answer is the S&P 500. Is it provided in a tax sheltered account like a Roth IRA of a self-directed nature? Now, remember, the greatest strategic advantage that you can provide yourself is to control the designation over your retirement account, making sure that it's self-directed and not managed. But none of the options that I just laid out there had anything to do with trying to sell in time. Okay. If you're that worried about it, there may be some opportunity for you to reassess your exposure risk now to the market. Opportunity doesn't mean you have to act upon it. But I think J Mac Investing responded to the question. I thought it was a great response. Hold and buy more when it dips, right? So you're getting the best of both worlds. And I've come out with one of the videos back in the hundreds, maybe, of the catalog of videos on the channel addressed this very point. in that I don't understand, and this isn't aimed at you, but it's aimed at a lot of people that talk in definitives in the stock market. If I do this, this is what's going to happen. If I sell now, I can buy it back when it did. I can do this and do that. If the market does this, I can do that. None of that's true. Like nothing is going to work out the way that you think it's going to work out. Nothing. Okay. No matter how hard you want to think about it or however much you want to write down this awesome plan that you're going to lock in profits right now and buy at the bottom. And the question is an awesome question because the prospects of you actually selling now and buying back if it dips, you could do that. There's a possibility you could do that. It's very, very difficult to do. Very difficult. So when I get hit with this question, I had a great question from a married couple who came through the channel and said, "Look, I've got 12,000 exposed to the S&P 500. I've got a mix of some other stuff, but you talk about having cash on the side all the time. What gives, Ryan? Should we sell some of the 12?" And they answered their own question by saying, "Look, we're excited about the prospects of investing and we're satisfied with our level of exposure. We don't think that 12,000 is really that much in in relation to where we want to go in the future. So selling seems ludicrous at this point." Okay. So it's definitely up to the individual. If we're talking about somebody who's 25 years old, they have zero capital in the bank, they've got 12,000 exposed to the market. If the market's going to take a correction and enter into a 20, 30, 40% downturn, the right thing for them to do is just to hold true on that program. Okay. But if their reaction is going to be such that they're going to be tempted to sell, especially at a loss, then that's the time you want to look at that $12,000 and say, you know what? What if my portfolio gets cut in half? What if I'm sitting on 6,000? And am I going to be able to look at that and say, yeah, we took a bad year in the market, but I'm satisfied now at these recessed prices to step into the market. Okay. So it's just about how you go about thinking about it as an individual. Okay. The account is the same and the asset is the same. It's all about how you approach leveraging those two things together that's going to render the right answer to that very question. And it's a super important question, but it really does come down to the individual particulars: age, risk tolerance, situation. Do you have a steady job that's levered to the stock market? Do you have a steady job that's levered to the economy? Or do you have something that is going to be with you the rest of your life? Are you eligible for a pension? Okay. Those are all things that you can use. And usually the right answer to that is to stay true and stay long. You got invested in the first place. If you over levered to the market, okay, you may pay for that a little bit if the market does take a 20 or 30% down clip. You may pay for that a little bit, but unless you're going to panic yourself out of the market, you'll be fine long term. Okay. It's just all about how you look at that situation and say, okay, I'm down 20, 30. Now's the time where I maybe want to strategically buy the market, and take advantage of that downturn as opposed to getting scared out of it. Okay. Awesome question. Thank you so much for offering it. I love answering that question. It's one of my faves. I hope you guys got some benefit out of that. I've sold a couple positions. Everything is crazy high right now. I think there's pockets of the market that are crazy high. I think technology is actually very high, but it's also the flip side. I believe it's the most exciting sector for future growth. That sector ETF for technology, the VHT, I believe. I'm pulling that ticker symbol out of my mind, but it is the technology sector, specialty ETF for technology, is up 30%. It's like stupid. And I do believe there's some valuation problems in tech. Conversely, I think valuation, I think energy is the only underperforming sector over the last 5 years. So For those folks that have been investing in energy, I'm one of them. I know Matt Money loves the energy sector, and it's one of my favorites. And aside from the dividend yield that's been rendered, those stocks have really taken a bath. And it's usually when a sector is super unloved, when you want to kind of look at maybe taking a stab at these. So if you don't have any exposure to energy right here, it's interesting to take a look. But I mean, I picked up Prudential today at 10 times forward. I think the Pfizer increase to the dividend was very attractive. I took a double up in Pfizer this week as well. So very satisfied with that double up. Added a little bit to some other positions too. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I've disclosed most of them to you guys. But I do think there's some value in the market here. I really do. I think there's some pockets of overvalue, and then there's some stuff that I will not touch. I won't. I love Chipotle. I love it. I'm not buying the stock. Okay, I'll continue to eat their burritos for $10 because I think they're freaking phenomenal. You bet. I think they're phenomenal, but I won't be owning the stock anytime soon. I'm good. Okay. Yeah, financial investor says, "Hey, why not just hold what you got? Just hold off on buying." Then dollar cost average down later. Just a thought. I like it. Really good stuff. Sold BRO hit a high. So Travis rendering some profit there. I like it, Travis. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that, man. Very cool. J Mac Investing says hold and stockpile some cash. I just think that's prudent. I think that's prudent no matter who you are. And again, if you guys are thinking that I'm going to take my entire 100 grand and drop it on the market when it somehow hits the bottom, I'm not. Okay. I'll put you at ease as far as the Ryan's program and what I'm going to do as far as sitting on a pile of cash so I can turn it into a monster portfolio. No, I won't. I'll strategically take chunks of it and allocate it as I feel appropriate. I'm not going to over lever to the market. No way. I'm good. I'm good. But I have that dry powder to deliberate on and make those decisions as appropriate? I do. I do. And I recommend that to anybody. I really do. Don't ever put yourself in a corner in that you may have those opportunities, because I've been there too, guys. As an investor, you look at it and you're like, God dang, I wish I wasn't so levered. Because once you're in it, the right thing to do is remain in it. Okay. But there's been a few times in my life. The first was really cut deep. It's when I took every single penny I had, bought mutual funds, bought them in a taxable account, just stupid stuff, and didn't have two nickels to rub together. So what happens when that very first expenditure comes out that's unplanned for, and I've got to liquidate my positions in my mutual funds because I didn't think ahead of time to actually have that. And that's where I learned that lesson, and I learned it the hard way. Okay. That's why I communicate that to the group. If you can avoid that landmine, I recommend you do so. It'll save you a lot of headache. Yeah, Cole Kramer in the group says, howdy. Appreciate you popping on here for sure. Happy holidays to you. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, been away a bit, chopping up celery for a snack now. Laugh out loud. That sounds lovely. Financial investors eating healthy, getting a jump on that New Year's resolution for next year. I like it. So I hit the gym tonight, man. I did so many sit-ups tonight. It's not even funny. That's definitely always tops on my list. Health and well-being. So become the best stock investor you can possibly be, and be as healthy as you can possibly be, and cut out as many vices as you can possibly cut out. Not all of them, because I'm not stopping drinking coffee because I love it. But you know, life is good. What can I say? Life is good. Absolutely love it. Celery with peanut butter is great. That's awesome. Hey, great you guys are coming on to a financial investing channel and talking about celery and peanut butter. I love it. That's great. Don't feed that little one celery. Don't do that. I'm Mike Buffington in the group. Good evening to my favorite investing community. The feeling is mutual. I'm super humbled at this opportunity. I really want you guys to take away the real root of the channel. I hope other channel creators specifically really do understand where I come from with my perspective on this. I know YouTube channel creators want to light the world on fire. That's lovely. Um, do I want to render millions of dollars in my life? You bet. You bet. I do. I think it'd be lovely. I think it'd be great. I think we could do some cool stuff. I think we could do some things that could be extremely special. Those conventions that I talk about, those are some of the visionary things that I would think would just be amazing to get a collaboration in person. Go somewhere like Vegas for a week, man, and actually talk stock for not 3 hours over a Starbucks coffee meeting, but actually at a formal conference. Why? Because this topic it demands that type of scrutiny, and nobody has all the answers. That's the crazy part about it. Uh, I hope I offer and I dig as deep as I possibly can to throw out those little tidbits of things that maybe somebody else out there can pick up on, use, and succeed with. And there's been a few channel creators who have made that comment, actually. PPC Ian made it in the video that I watched yesterday. I've learned just as much from you as you've hopefully learned from me. And that's the two-way road that I think is a lot of fun to explore, a lot of fun to communicate. I really do. But absolutely will continue to reach down to those folks that if I was 20, okay, reach down to that 20-year-old and say, take a look at this. It's worth it from an awareness perspective. If you're going to study the best car to buy for gas mileage, or if you're going to study the best career that you can get involved with, if you're going to study the path and benefits of meditation, health and well-being, how you can get the very best out of your life, finances has got to be part of that discussion. It really does. And certainly carry that flag as an ambassador of that message. I'm really not coming onto YouTube just to make YouTube. I'm not. Okay. And want to continue to make this conversation a whole hell of a lot less about me and a whole lot more about you. That's where my intent has always been, and that's where it will continue to be into 2020. Okay. Thank you very much for that comment. It was super kind. I really appreciate it, man. Guys like Jared Odell, go back and forth with. I don't really talk too much. I know he probably sits back and enjoys the live stream. Not to say I'm an enjoyable guy, but I just enjoy the heck out of conversing with Mr. Odell in the Facebook group. He frequents himself in that club. So, and he gets in free of charge. He's VIP for sure. He's an ambassador in the Facebook group, and just awesome. There's so many people I've had a chance to talk with, and it speaks to some of the intangible benefits of running a YouTube channel. I feel like it's successful. I felt like it was successful when I reached my first 100 subscribers. That's why when Jerry from the GW Life channel, we were doing that collaboration with J Mac Investing. They had mentioned that he turned over that first 100 subscribers, and I was like, that's the hardest mark to meet, man. I was stoked. And eventually we'll get to 20,000 or 25 or 50, maybe 50. I don't know. I'm on track to make it in like 10 years. We'll see. When it happens, it happens. But every step of the road on this YouTube journey has been a milestone for me. I just look at this, and the common thread for me is the opportunity to use the social media opportunity, which I was very unaware of up until 3-4 years ago. And it's just been a ride ever since. And I'm humbly grateful to you guys. And I just couldn't ask for a better, loyal, group of creators and subscribers that help me support my message for sure. So with that said, it's pretty awesome. Michael Raver's one of those folks, and he's spelling it wrong. He says America. It's actually America. You got to say it right. You can't do that. Okay. America is an awesome place. I was just having a conversation earlier on the channel about the opportunities that we have here. There was a lot of sacrifice to give us these opportunities, and the opportunities to use the major institutions in the manner that we are investing in the stock market free of charge, without the limitation, is going to start to empower some portfolios. There's some pretty robust portfolios in here, serious money, serious folks, man. There's a lot of people that are working with some serious money, and I consider 25 grand to be serious money. If you're one of the many channel creators that have provided some wealth and some transparency on what you're working with, you've set yourself up in a category of people who a lot of people would look at and aspire to. A lot of people don't understand how difficult that is to get up to that first $10,000, but it's only difficult because of what's in here. It's only difficult by what's in here. The first trade account that I rolled out beginning of this year is almost to 70% of its goal. The better example to that is the M1 Finance account that I started with the passive specialty SPDR ETFs in it, all 11 sectors. That's approaching $3,000. I've funded that with $25 a month since March. Okay. I'm 30% toward my goal. And then the new account that I've got, that's a bad example, but I've funded that with 5 grand. Okay. That could be a tax return for a lot of you guys. Now, do I suggest doing what I did? I just had a $5,000 bill that I put on that and was able to build that 12 stock portfolio that I've shared with you guys. But the opportunities are out there. Okay. And if you want to radically take some of these ideas that I throw down on, take your tax return, invest it in yourself. You'd be so glad that you did. Doing taxes to me is kind of like one of those mundane exercises that I run through. And when I get paid that money, I don't even look at it. It goes right to either the savings or to the help to fund the Roth accounts for next year. So those little tidbits of information on how in the trenches I've been able to take a little bit of money and turn it into something big is definitely scalable. It's something that you guys can take and put into action for yourself. All right. If you haven't yet given me a fist pump, for sure, go ahead and do it. They need to have one of these, man, not the thumbs up. I don't know who does the thumbs up anymore, man. But I know it's a lot. If you need to put the drink down to hit the thumbs up button, okay, don't do it. Okay, keep the drink in your hand. It's not worth it. However, if you have a free hand and you can access the mouse to hit the thumbs up button, please do so, because evidently Google thinks that's the end all be all of the strength of a YouTube channel is the number of thumbs up you can get. To be quite honest with you, I could care less, but that's it. So go ahead and hit it for me if you'd be so kind. That'd be awesome. All right. Hey, y'all, thanks for the love. Chris Cobian's in the group. I love it, man. I started at the top of the thread and I'm working down, Chris. So sorry I got down. I'm just now working through the number of community folks in here. And I'm going in order here. So Jared Odell's making his shout outs. I got Hella Huge 52. That's a pretty cool name. Ryan, would you say now is a good time to add physical metals? Yeah. That's an awesome question. I would tag that the question of the night if I could. I'd kind of be interested off topic to know how some of the larger channel creators are dealing with channel memberships. I'm kind of toying with the idea on how we can do something special on the independent investor channel to provide a little more ownership over the channel and a little bit more community involvement. I'm not satisfied with the level of access. I think that I think some of the top tier subscribers would like to have. So I'm actually toying around the idea of starting another Facebook group actually, and limiting it to 100 members. 100, that's it. I'll lock it down. 100. It'll be 99. I'll be one of them. But a little bit off topic there. Just something I'm deliberating on right now as I've just become eligible for that function through YouTube. Merchandise, as far as I'm concerned, was a huge success and huge flop at the same time. Success on one hand, in that I got these cool T-shirts and I'm the only one in the world with them, so I'm satisfied with that. And a huge flop in that nobody bought one. Okay, so JMac Investing, if you're listening, Jason, that coffee cup that you have, okay, yeah, it's a rarity. Nobody has one, so hold on to it. Okay, you probably paid like 15 bucks for it. It's probably worth like 17 bucks. All right, so great investment on your part, man. In 10 years it might be worth like 20 bucks. Okay, so thanks for all the support there. But Hella Huge says, should you invest in precious metals? I've said this for years. I don't consider precious metals an investment at all. And it is a hedge. The answer to your question is yes. I think accumulating wealth is a very broad term, that of which does not have to be specific to stock or bonds. Okay. It could mean rare art if that's your thing. Hell, it could be vintage guitars, which is in my wheelhouse. You want to buy a 66 SG Gibson standard or special? Now you're talking. Uh, there's a lot of there's a lot. I was talking to a baseball card collector of all things the other day, who's a friend of mine, and I guess there's only so many rated Mickey Mantle rookies in the world, and I guess those are being put into a conglomerate or a co-op, and you can actually buy stock in those rare baseball cards that exist. Michael Jordan rookies, Willie Mays, etc. I would put that in the alternative investment camp. Bourbon is an alternative investment. Okay, if it really hits the fan, you're going to be the one that saves the day. Okay, if you're in your doomsday prepper house and you've got some bourbon to sell or at least share to people because that's all they feel like doing is drinking. But in all reality, I love the idea. Let me tell you what I'm not a big fan of. I don't necessarily like holding companies. I'm not a fan of precious metal IRAs. They're just too expensive to own. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with the responsibility to safeguard the precious metal on our own, which carries with it some inherent level of responsibility. The first of which, you get to own all this cool stuff and you get to tell nobody about it. That's number one. Okay. So human nature is such that when you go buy a cool gold bar, because it's the coolest freaking thing in the entire world, you want to show everybody, like at a party or something. Well, it's worth $500,000. So you might not want to do that. Okay. It's one of those things to where if you're sitting on a huge gold or silver collection, you are basically holding better than a bank in your private residence. Okay, so number one, safeguard, keep it a secret. Then number two, safeguard. How honestly do you prescribe to actually safeguarding precious metal properly? You're going to buy a safe? You're going to secure it to a wooden floor? Are you going to tell somebody the code in case you die, get into an auto accident, and you're gone, and nobody can get into it? So there is some responsibility that you have. If you have the ability to do the first two things, then I do absolutely think that at any time you could start to accumulate some silver and some gold in multiple denominations for sure. What I mean by that is if you want to buy some junk silver on the side, collectible coins, bars, bullion and the gold coinage, etc. My favorite website I always have linked is Provident Metals. You guys are willing to check that out. It's legit. It's really, really good, very reputable. I know Kitco is actually identified in one of the books that I recommend, The Blueprint for America. That's a good one. But Kitco, a little bit higher on the price as far as I'm concerned. I just think Provident probably offers a little bit better value. And I know there's some others out there, but yeah, that's a killer question. I think when volatility kicks up early next year, I actually think precious metals is kind of ripe for the picking right here, especially silver. I'm really interested in it. If there was probably the biggest deficiency in my portfolio right now, it would be the lack of precious metals right now. And it's because of the first two reasons that I notated. I move around a lot, number one. Number two is I don't secure a residence that I feel comfortable with safeguarding in a manner that I can be rest assured for the remainder of my life will be safeguarded in a manner that I would be satisfied with. Okay, those are very serious questions that you just need to ask and answer for yourself. And if you can do that, right on, do it. It's all about it. All right. So Jamie, right below, got all good in a row, and money matters, all good. Captain Ryan at the helm. That's true. I could get one of those wheels. Listen, I was a mariner. Okay, for anybody who did not know, I've spent many years, many hours at the helm. So I appreciate that. But Matt Money, awesome, man. It's a good stuff. Got to know Matt over the last couple months. A good channel, good dude, actually. Just a good guy. And it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see. He's working with a larger than average portfolio for his age. Absolutely, probably in the top, very top echelon of investors for somebody that's that old. And I don't want to embarrass at all, but to acknowledge the fact that at 28 years old, to be working with, $500,000 in a portfolio is extremely impressive. What's impressive to me is not necessarily the dollar amount, but the wherewithal to get there. However you got there, that's the important piece. And it's obvious to me that investing is higher on the priority list for you than it is for a lot of people. And I would really like to improve upon that awareness and prospects to the market. It's really cool to have you as part of the group for sure, Matt. It's been good to get to know you. I really appreciate that. I had an opportunity to come on and talk to that 18-year-old. I still remember that night. It was pretty cool. I looked for that upload. I could not find it online. So I don't know if you have a link to it. I heard there was a little bit of an interesting troll that came on one of your streams that you had put on or something. One of the other guys was telling me that you had somebody come on that was pretty rude. So I don't know if you opted not to put that online, which is respectable, but I couldn't find that in review. If you do have it, kick it my way. I'd just like to review it. I'm not going to put it out through my channel unless you say that you want me to do that. I could probably do that if you'd send the file to me. But yeah, I was just interested to see the reaction because that youngster got a lot that night. No doubt about it. That youngster got a lot. And I basically said, I don't think he's going to sleep tonight. I wouldn't. If you take that type of opportunity, you don't get opportunities like that every single day of your life. They'll come and they'll go and they'll escape you for a long, long time. And the fact of the matter is, you'll be on your own for a long time. And you never really know how somebody's going to take that opportunity. I've had a ton of people, and I said it during that live stream. I said, there's been so many people who have sat across from me and they're looking in my eyes and they're just like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, Ryan. Thank you. They'll walk out the door and they don't do a thing about it. Not a thing. And we break it down into like baby steps. Baby steps. I mean, Bill Murray, baby steps. What about Bob? It's one step at a time. Anybody can do it, right? And I just find it interesting how different people take and consume the information and are willing to act upon it, and others are not. And it's okay. It's okay. We don't hold a grudge. It's just interesting. But I would have been interesting to see and do a follow up, I think, and see how Dustin is progressing on doing some research and what he found out, and have him maybe explain it back to us and see what he remembered from that night. That's pretty cool. It just changed his life. No big deal, right? Yeah. Powerful. What are we going to do with PEs this high? The market PE is just above elevated median. I think it's fair to say that there's probably some re-rating as well. We may be transitioning into an environment where higher PEs are I don't want to say more acceptable. That's a poor choice of words, but I mean it. That's the best choice of words that I can find. And if you're going to wait around for PEs between 10 and 15, I think you may actually pass up on a lot of good opportunities in the market. I do think there's some really good value out there. I do. But you have to be extremely selective right now, because I do agree with you. The S&P 500 from a price to earnings ratio is historically just over median. It's not high from what I'm looking at, and you guys can certainly correct me if you're seeing different data. I'm just not seeing it in the data. Um, Earnings increases over time, guys. So, when these PEs get stretched, you have to be very careful. When I look back historically, there's been historical times in the S&P 500 that have been way crazier than it is now. So companies are doing well. They're making good money. They're probably buying back a lot more stock than I would like to see. But that's the environment we live in now, where companies are taking advantage of basically free money on the balance sheets, and they're leveraging it to buy stock. It's as if they can't find anything else to do with their companies. I think it's an easy out, I think. But we'll see where that ends up. I don't know. I don't know if I would not invest right now. I would just be careful and cognizant of where we are. I think that's fair to say. Um, just a very real approach to the market, right? To just be careful. Excuse me. Not to get too over levered right now, not to get too overzealous. The market's not going anywhere. And to adjust accordingly based on your own specific program. All right. The Independent Investor Channel doesn't exist to wave a magic wand over each and every one of the situations or subscribers that make their way onto the channel. The idea is to set up a framework of thought processes. What account to look at? What are the options? What are the benefits of tax protection, wealth preservation, dollar cost averaging? What does a good portfolio look like? What does a diversified portfolio look like? Those types of things. And then we go from there. Maybe I should get a good drink. All right. Cruising down the thread. I got Robert Cardwell in the group here. This is awesome. Waiting on J&J and Pepsi. I think J&J is, I don't think it's going to go lower. That's just my opinion. Pepsi may. Videos from Gen X, hoping he has them in the portfolio. Okay, so I don't want to ruin it for Gen X dividend investor, but I would say that J&J is going to be his number one stock pick. I'm saying it right now. Okay, right now, J&J is number one. It's the best quality company out there, hands down, bar none. Best balance sheet, the best well-run dividend. It suits his profile as far as I'm concerned. J&J will be in the portfolio. I don't know if it'll be number one, but it certainly will be in there. Absolutely. J&J was the other one. I picked up 8 shares today in J&J. Top up the position a little bit. I think that put me up over 30 shares, I guess, right? In my little portfolio that could. So we picked up a few shares of J&J today. Speak of the devil. Pepsi is one that I have not. I'm just dripping the position. It's been a wonderful performer this year. And I'm not sure if Pepsi's going to hold here. I just think J&J has never traded at this valuation in respect to the market. So I wouldn't wait too much. And if you get a couple bits of a break on J&J, I think J&J is breaking out right now. Okay. I would be very surprised if we saw 125 before we saw 150 in J&J. Okay. So, it's one of those positions that, if you look at the good diversified portfolio, I do own Pfizer, I do own Merck, and I do own Bristol Myers Squibb. I do own AbbVie, and I do own Medtronic. That really kind of rounds out what and the small positions, right, in the ETFs, et cetera, right, the healthcare sector and the other M1, blah blah, right. So get some exposure in some other, but those are the major positions in the healthcare industry. I think that's about it. Nah, United Health Group. I do own UNH, which has been on freaking fire. Not too shabby for a Dow component. I'll take it. It's been on freaking fire. That was another strategic buy that if you guys were paying good attention to the market, you would have picked up on UNH as well, because at 228, 225, that was it didn't stay there. It didn't stay there for very long, and it definitely didn't wave at you and say, "Hey, buy me now." It didn't do that. Okay. Yeah, that would have been a buy. It's at 300 now. So yeah, UNH, that was a fun strategic buy. Hey, you win some and you lose very few, but that was one of many winners that I had this year, and I'm still winning. I only own 10 shares of UNH just because I'm very heavy in healthcare, and I'm still underweight healthcare for some reason or another. I know, just listening to PPCE and last night, I was catching one of his videos. It's his favorite sector. It's one of mine as well. I wouldn't necessarily deem it my favorite. I'm more of a technology and an industrials type of fellow with a nice spackling of staples and discretionary and real estate and materials and everything else, energy, pretty much everything. Yeah, I'm pretty much that guy. So as much exposure as I can get from the broader market, but you guys understand, I don't typically weight my entire portfolio top heavy in materials. Okay. That's usually the underloved, but I did add some of the utilities back in as single stock holdings. Still own VPU, which is a nice exposure opportunity to utilities from Vanguard. That's a nice way of owning utilities. But I was glad as I scoured through the landscape, I didn't see a whole lot. Southern Company was overvalued, and so was Duke. So the two stocks that I bought were overvalued. Does that scare me off of not buying them? No, it doesn't. I was looking for the dividend potential, which in both of those names satisfied my profile. Absolutely, it was good. Um, and it just worked. But that's kind of it for utilities. I'm a little overexposed by about $300 in the portfolio. So what I mean by that, guys, when I'm talking about overexposed and underexposed and equal weight, that's in relation to my risk tolerance. So if I set my investor profile to aggressive, it's going to recommend that so much of your portfolio is taken up by or consumed by utilities or technology or healthcare. And you can look at the allocation in two different ways: either large cap, medium cap, small cap, bonds, cash, or you can look at it on the sector level. And that's the metric that I enjoy looking at to kind of gauge and see where I'm at. If I needed to add a little bit more to technology, I'm a little underweight tech, underweight healthcare, overweight industrials right now, just to give you a little bit of flavor about some of the things I look at when I'm portfolio building. So having some fun doing that for sure. Those are some of the things that I don't appreciate about M1 Finance. Is that those data and analytics tools are just non-existent, and on the major brokers they are. I'm not going. I think Gen X hit me up with this question. What's my comment on the best broker out there? I think hands down Merrill is awesome. Now, based on some of the feedback that I've got from the channel, I know some of the people, I've enjoyed watching some of the screenshots of Thinkorswim from TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, and that's the wheelhouse we want to be in, guys, for sure. If you opt for any of these major services, I think you're going to be very, very satisfied. But I think Merrill absolutely deserves to be in the discussion now that they've moved down to unlimited free trades for investors, because I've been in the back end of Merrill for the last going on 8 years, and they are top notch. They're legit. They're very, very good customer service. Very, very good. They are very, very accommodating to their self-directed investing community. So means a lot to me. The audit scrutiny that Bank of America goes under as a publicly traded company means a lot to me. I know these conversations come up with how much scrutiny companies like Robinhood and M1 Finance and Webull and First Trade and all the other discount brokers are being subject to on the back end. Okay, when they're putting those batch trades through, because that's where they make their money, guys. Okay, they're going to give you all the free trades they want, but they're going to charge you a little bit more for the stock price that you're paying. Hate to break it to you, but I was actually relieved to see some of the comments that came through the channel agreeing with me on the Robinhood opportunity. 10 million people. I highly doubt that all 10 million of those people are empowered like you guys are, finding the self-directed investor method, because my method works. Okay. Robinhood, yeah, it's turning a lot of people on investor. I get it. Okay. Before you start throwing rocks at me, I get it. Okay. But not having retirement accounts, I think, is persuading a lot of people to get caught up in the allure of free trades at the expense of a good retirement account, which should be their primary focus. Okay. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Excited about the 4-cent raise. Rock on, man. Good stuff. He's talking about one of his stocks. I don't know if it's Pfizer. I know Pfizer just raised the dividend by 5%, and I'm not sure. I haven't really got into the particulars of Matt Money's portfolio. I know he's heavy in energy. That's the industry that he knows, so it makes sense. It's fitting that since he knows the industry, he feels comfortable with that, and I can respect that. That's pretty cool. But I'm not sure what exactly the stock he's talking about for the 4% increase there. Enjoyed that AT&T deep dive. I did too, man. I watched it straight through. I thought it was awesome. Currently 34% in cash, fluctuates, but things are frothy. So I'm just holding and building cash reserves. I think that's a prudent move for anybody to do at this point. All 3 hit highs. Cool. Thanks. Good. Just scanning, guys. Mr. Tim Tellers is in the group. Really appreciate you making your way in here, Tim. Happy holidays to you, man. Thanks for all the loyal support of the channel. Good stuff. And Michael Babcock. Wow, that was just crazy. It's like a blast from the past. I remember Michael Babcock when I was up in New York City, man. It's like one of my most loyal plank owners on the Independent Investor channel. It's great to see you, man. Great. Thank you for coming on and helping, supporting. Hope everything is well with your dad. It's funny the things I remember. Really funny. So, but thanks for coming on. Unilever was my only buy this week. I looked at Unilever. That's really funny you mentioned that, Jared. I like it here. I really do. I'd like to get Gen X's take on it. I wonder if he's covering the stock. Obviously, he doesn't have the time to cover all the stocks in the manner that he does. He's covering the stocks that he holds or is interested in investing in, I would take it. But Unilever certainly deserves to be in the conversation. Absolutely. I'd like to know what the thoughts are on Unilever. If anybody's looked at it and taken a deeper dive on it. There was another stock that I was looking at. Who's the I'm drawing a blank right now for the creator of Rubbermaid. I know you guys will help me out. Rawlings gloves. I know all the products that they make. That's funny. It's slipping my mind. God, I've got L brands in my head. I was in that store today. So it's okay. Yeah. There's a lot that sticks in your head from that store. It was lovely. Anyway, Chris Cobian says you're good. You're good, man. You're good, man. Awesome. I've got that sexy chair. Yeah, it was one of the improvements on the channel. I just think it looks like a YouTube chair. Check it out. Isn't that cool? Amazon special, man, for like $68 or something. And it's super comfortable too. My old chair had a couple bolts sticking up through the bottom of it. So it'll probably paralyze me later on in life. But it was well worth it coming on and talking to a bunch of people about investing over YouTube. But man, I'm a lot more comfortable. It's amazing after a couple hours of talking personal finance and brokerage awareness and all that stuff, how good I feel. It's also good how good I feel after not like having a drink of bourbon or something. I'll do that after we get off. You betcha. I'm just thankful as hell in 2019, no doubt about it. In all reality, not to get too soppy on you folks, but I'm just glad as hell you guys allow me to offer this live stream every Friday. I look forward to it. It's one of my freaking favorite things to do on the YouTube channel. The topics that I'm covering are really good. I'm going to start to expand the catalog a little bit and try to drill down on basic investing philosophies, what to do with certain sums of money. I will move away from the stock picks altogether. I don't like those videos at all. I would rather just roll out the portfolio reviews, not to say that that's very much of a favorite of mine either. But I know people appreciate it, and I hope they're being taken in the correct manner in just demonstrating what is possible. Not magic. That's all real stuff that we're declaring through the channel when you're asking yourself what's possible in the investing landscape. And that's really what I can do is sum it up in this way. I can say it's powerful. It's very powerful. It can be powerful to the downside, yes, but it certainly benefits us and the group and me to talk about some of those things to hedge ourselves on the way down and how to maybe expect those things if they do in fact happen, and to prepare accordingly so we're not surprised. We're educated. An educated investor is the key to success in the market, and it doesn't have a lot to do with somebody sitting across from you trying to manufacture that education for yourself. You've got to get some basic preliminary education and build up your tolerance. Everybody has the opportunity to get a little bit tougher. Okay. And I think if it's not going to be next year or the year after, there will come a time in the future where your tolerance to the market that you've deemed for yourself will be tested. Okay. Mark my word. Mark my word. Remember? All right. Make a mental note. All right. I mean, what's up, Jerry? I got Jerry in the house here. I got a couple folks in this little area of the thread. I worked for Airmon Miller when I was 19. Good quality stuff. Good, man. He's a good dude. That was fun to talk. I could have talked to Jerry for a lot longer. We got to talk for a little while. It was definitely exciting, and it was like, dang, Ryan, you said start a YouTube channel, so I did. I was like, what? Are you freaking blaming on me? But no, in all fairness, I meant what I said. I meant what I said. I think there's people probably who tune into Jerry and they're like, dang, I can relate with this guy. And that's powerful. That really is, man. If you could sit across from somebody and like, dang, man, I've went through some of those trials and tribulations in my life too. And look at this freaking guy. I made the comment. I was like, God dang, you just started investing this year and started a YouTube channel. Talk about just doing everything at the same time, But hey, man, all the power to you. I think in 5 years, in retrospect, you're going to look back and say, I'm glad I did that. And I'm glad I did that. Yeah, and that's what it's about. I tip my hat to those folks that are willing to not only talk about it, but actually do it. Pretty cool, man. The cruise there in New Zealand, having a little seller's remorse after selling Tesla today. Why? I don't know why. I don't know why at all. I think selling right here is smart. You take some profits and leverage that profit and put it to good work. I've got Gadeo. I hope I'm saying that right. Gadeo. That's a pretty cool thumbnail you got there. That's pretty cool. It looks like I'm looking at the back of somebody's head. I don't know. I'm half blind anyway. I can't see. But yeah, sellers are more like, when did you sell it? After the market closed or right at the market closed? I think you're fine. At 400 bits, I'd take the profit, man. You're a winner. I don't necessarily consider Tesla. Tesla is number 80 on my list of priority. I mean, it's the bottom of my exposure limit. I probably have, point 0.08 of my portfolio in Tesla right now. It's a very, very low. I invest in a lot of stuff before I was able to justify putting a little dab of Tesla in my portfolio of a few $100. It's nothing. You guys, again, I shared that link to the aggressive portfolio at the very top of this thread. You guys are getting it before anybody. I'm going to roll out the aggressive gross portfolio, but this is why you guys tune into the live stream. Number one, to get these first out of the gate ideas that I've got. Number two is you don't have to watch me with the interruption of commercials. Okay, so it's free of charge. Everybody who watches it on the replay get inundated by all the commercials, that of which I don't put in the videos. So they've complained to me and told me how much they hate me because of all the commercials, but I don't do that, and I'm not going to go back and eliminate commercials from what Google auto places into the live streams. That's just what I'm going to do. All right. Big Ben's early road to retirement to know they had a plant in Rockland. I'm cruising down here looking. Matt Money 64, folks. Ryan is killing it. Yeah, I mean, Jesus, Matt, I've been doing this a long time. I started doing the live streams, I think, there wasn't a lot of people on YouTube doing it. And I think there was a few people who hit me up via email and they're like, you're crazy. Like, I was like, okay, well, it feels right. So I'm good. I like doing what feels right. So, and I think the product that we've built up is indicative of exactly what I wanted, an opportunity. I know it's morphed into having a lot of channel creators come on and drop discussion with each other. That's awesome. I'm all about that. But in all fairness, I would really love to see it be an opportunity for young folks, older folks alike to come on. And if they have a question, they can throw it into the thread and have us deliberate on it a little bit, because you're going to get a little bit different perspective from each and every person here. I think that's lovely. I really do. I think people would really resonate with that. And I have a vision for where I want this product to go as well. It's not always going to be in this setting. It's going to be have the ability to maybe collaborate. Last Friday was kind of wild. I've got to know Kyle with hidden passive income investor. And sorry about that. I get the channels mixed up in my head, but Kyle's like an energy ball, man. I got to sit up and get ready when he pops on the channel for sure. I think that energy's awesome. I really do. It reminds me of me when I was his age. I can still keep up with the young folks, but being 43 now, I'm just a little more deliberate with my method. I've been through and around the block a few times, so and it's really cool. But that collaborative is a little tougher. I like the 2-hour live stream that I've put on tonight, because I get to talk directly to the people who come in and take the time to talk to me. And you kind of lose a little bit with the collaboration. So again, the verdict is still out on that product. I'm still kind of making my decision about what I want to do with it. We'll see. And honestly, I may kick out there a community tab, and you guys can vote on it and see what you want, what you find more value in. So I crossed 10,000. I hope it's 10,000. Tim Teller says I crossed $10. That's awesome. $10. Everybody starts somewhere. With my M1 finance, I know he means 10,000. We had a conversation earlier on in the week, and he said, "Can I combine my accounts together?" And I said, "Hell yeah! What are you talking about? You got $10,000, man, invested or saved or whatever." Man, that's legit. I don't care what form of money you've asked it to be. I don't care if it's invested dollars, saved dollars, bond money, CDs, checking, savings. What the hell? The only thing that changes is the level of liquidity of those different forms of money that you've asked it to take on. But if you've reached that 10,000, I've said this many times over the channel, I'll be the first to commend you. I just think that kind of, it's like when a musician stands up on stage and the crowd sings the song back to him. I don't mean to compare myself to that, but when somebody gives me the validation back that they've received, put to good use, rendered results for themselves that they may have not have rendered on their own, that's the level of success that I'm looking for. Okay. In my M1 finance for the first time, so I was pretty pumped to get a couple buys. Really cool, man. I love it. And I'm pretty certain you weren't talking about $10. So, but typically like 75, 85 in here. Yeah, I would say that's about right. We'll generate about 1,000 views. I know there's a lot of people who kind of look at this as a podcast, and they'll just listen to it. They don't need to watch it because my deliberation and my dialogue is pretty good. I dictated my first video this week, and I was actually surprised at how clear it came through. I've become a lot better at not saying all the time, which if you watch my original live streams, it's a lot of that. So I had to take a concerted effort to clean up the uhs. So anybody out there who does live streams and says too much, there's another New Year's resolution for you to maybe cut out of your delivery. Good luck, because it's not easy. But anyway, Rebecca from Quest to Fire has a better acronym for FIRE. Instead of financially independent, retire early, she says financially independent recreational employment. I love that. That's awesome. So I've been having some really good conversation with Rebecca as well. I've extended an invite to Rebecca as well. It just didn't really work out tonight. I did not want to do a collaboration tonight, to be quite honest. I wanted to take this one because there was a lot of updates that I wanted to push through, and I'll continue to the end here. 6 minutes left on the live stream. I usually provide 2 hours of content. I usually try not to get too crazy and overzealous with it, but I soak in every minute I get of this live stream because I freaking love it. I really do. Saw someone with 34% cash. That's wild. Yeah, I mean, to each his own, I guess. It really just depends on how levered you want to be at this point at record highs. I've always contended that the cash, whether it be in a higher interest yielding, mine's not. I don't worry about it too much. I think that's a real deficiency of Bank of America is they don't offer said product. I wish they did, but something perhaps maybe I can work on a little bit. But I like to have all my accounts under the same umbrella. I'd have to look at my percentages again. I think I'm probably around the same, I guess. A little bit less, a little bit more, not really sure. There's been a little bit of jockeying, a little bit of liquidation in the accounts. So I'd have to look at the cash balance right now, but around 100 grand, 100 grand of cash is what we got right here, I think. So maybe a little bit more. And I don't know the exact percentage. It's something I'll look at. So Ryan is the king of the live stream. Well, that's interesting. You know what Ryan means? My name, it means little king. Funny you mentioned that, Jason. I know you're thinking you pompous asshole, but yeah, I appreciate that. My son's name is Ryan, so him being the little king, I joke with him all the time. That's actually what my name means. If you don't believe it, you can look it up. But no, I think we're trying to leverage the opportunity. I really take the opportunity humbly and look to be an ambassador. Honestly, that's why I spend a good majority or a good amount of time engaging with the channel creators and giving those folks their opportunity to share with whatever community comes in to the stream after and during their thoughts on the market. I think that's super important. Again, the topic of money it doesn't lend itself well to one singular perspective. It doesn't. It's super important for people to understand that they're going to get a better holistic view of the market by taking a consensus of the group and also discrediting. I would absolutely encourage you, if you hear something from me or Matt or Jason or any of these folks in the thread that you don't like, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Do what makes sense for you. That's the whole idea behind this YouTube opportunity. It's not come in, say something, and you go do. It's not like that. Okay. It's wow, this person is really, really engaged in investing, really, really high on their priority list. Maybe I can increase it on my priority list a little bit and look to empower my own financial situation, right? That's what it's about for sure. I do appreciate the comment. I do. I have a lot of fun with it, but we're going to continue to do it. It's going to continue to be a staple on the Independent Investor channel. I really enjoy it. Jamie with Money Matters says smash the like button. I don't know. You don't have to smash it if you don't want to. Again, if you are holding a drink, you are exempt from the request to smash the like button. Okay. I don't want you to get your bourbon all over the computer. Okay. So just calm down on that. But we're going to scroll down. I think we're almost to the end. This is probably going to dump a ton of comments on me as I'm working through here. I'm ecstatic. The percentage of women joining the community is phenomenal, up to 2.5% over the last 28 days. Mine's increased to 6. And I think I checked it about a week ago, Matt, but you're totally right. I think we need to get it to, I mean, in a perfect world, it'd be 50-50 as far as I'm concerned, because the relatability that I talk about, if somebody tunes into me and they don't like my brash style, or they don't resonate with my message, and they do resonate with somebody else, whether it be male or female, great. That's I'm all about that. But I really haven't been able to put my thumb on why that is. I don't agree. There's certain business out there that just cater to female investors. I'm not really sure if that's so necessary either. I mean, the females that I know that make their way into the independent investor channel, that they don't need to be placed in a category one way or the other. They just need to be an empowered investor, and that's freaking good enough. Not everybody feels that way, right? So if we're pushing through the message in a myriad of different conduits, then I think that's lovely. I think we have the opportunity to reach more people if we're doing that. So really good stuff. I'm scrolling down here to make sure that there's nobody in here that I realize. Hi, Ryan. It is nice to acknowledge the other channel creators, but I think your content is best. Yeah, I don't know. I take that as a grain of salt. I'm pretty critical of myself. I offered that for the 2020 resolutions. I think Gen X dividend investor is number 1 on my list. I think Joseph Carlson is number 2 on my list. I think PPC Ian is number 3. I think Ryan Scribner is number 4 on my list. And that's not to impugn anybody that come into the group here. And I think folks would agree with that priority list. I think I bring some stuff to the table. I do. That's fine. But each and every channel creator has a unique perspective. And I think, again, if we're all seeking consensus on certain topics, bringing awareness to this topic that is often misconstrued as being just so confusing that nobody can figure it out. I think if we're breaking down those barriers, I think we're winning the battle. I really do. And I just appreciate the hell out of all the channel creators that come on here and help me support the message. I sometimes watch a Gen X dividend investor video and I'm like, I will never be that good. Never. I will continue to seek and search, but I don't have the ability to do that. And I think some people, I don't want people to watch a Gen X dividend investor because I recommend them to the channel and them look at that and say, I have to do that to be a successful investor. He would agree that that's not the sole skeleton key to your investing success. No way. I think it really behooves everybody to get a holistic experience, a holistic idea and consensus about how people are using common themes to find success in the market. Okay. There are exact same holdings in my portfolio than a lot of these folks in the community thread also hold. There's a lot of people in the thread here that hold completely different portfolio holdings. So it's up to you to take in the information, filter it, take and use what it is going to work for you. That's going to set you up as well to being your own investor. Don't be somebody else's investor. You don't have to invest like a Matt Money. You don't have to invest like a Ryan on the independent investor channel. If that's what you think the message is on all of these channel creators that are coming on, spending their time, you're missing the point. You really are. And you got to try to define that investing style and profile that's going to work for you over time. Okay. I should reach out to Sharia, Lydia, Mim. Do it, Matt, for sure. I'm sure that they would love the opportunity to come on and rap with you for sure. I think it'd be awesome. Do it. Um, those guys are awesome, and some of them who have come on and supported me for a while as well. It means a lot to me. It really does, because I push out the message for anybody that can take it, and find some success for themselves. I think it's lovely. All right. Yeah. So here's another channel creator right at the end. I got Minds in Motion here. So I actually feel bad that I'm making the shout out 2 hours into the stream. I should have just wrote it down. But if you would do me a huge favor, because I love your message, I think it's phenomenal. Minds in Motion. This is independent investor. Right to Minds in Motion, because I'm at the bottom of the thread here. And I extended that invite over the thread, and I hope you got that. I did not do that tonight, obviously. Thank you so much for coming on. Your message is totally legit. We need to have some work done between the two of us. Okay. I would love to have you on the channel, and on those collab opportunities. There will be more of them. I would really like to do that. And if you'd be kind enough to accept the invite, I'll throw it out there as an open invitation. You can accept it whenever you have a few moments to render. I will bring you on for the Friday live stream for sure, and get you some kudos and get you some shout outs. But more importantly, I'd like to hear more about what you have to say about the investing opportunity, and Malone Money Mindset as well. Very cool at the bottom here. Yeah, so it just dumped a ton of comments on me. I swallow comment. I don't know. This is just a ton. Yeah, it's cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, so he's trolling the stream. It's probably a good time to cut out. So Quest to Fire actually is in the better, right in the bottom for sure. And I did extend that invite to you. You guys need to frequent this community and really start to connect with us. I would really like to see some of the folks that have really been ambassadors for allowing opportunity. Number one, JMac Investing. Okay. And Matt Money as well, who is also in the group tonight. So I frequent those opportunities every now and then. I can't really put a lot down in concrete except for Friday. So if you guys would like to take me up on that opportunity, I think it would be fun. I really do. I think we'll have a collaboration there, and we'll test the waters and hear what you got to say there. So. And Ryan Griffin just popped in. He would have loved to hear what I said about Tesla tonight. I'm an investor, Ryan. You'd be satisfied with me, okay? I'm part of the community now. I'm part of the cult movement, okay? I own $300 in Tesla. But with that said, Quest to Fire says, thank you, Ryan. Absolutely. I really do appreciate that invite. I'm always working on Friday. Okay. I'll be here if work is slow. That's awesome. Like I said, it's Gen X is killing the game. Gen X is killing the game for sure. I always feel guilty that I'm not paying for that content whenever I consume it. But as long as he's pushing out there free of charge for his kids, well, I'm going to sit there like one of his kids and enjoy it and learn a little something about stock market investing. So anyway, guys, super cool. Thank you for making this another successful live stream Friday. I wish you all the best. I will schedule the opportunity next Friday as well. We may do a collaboration. I still am undecided on whether or not I want to continue to do this, or maybe provide an opportunity for another collaboration. A collaboration is kind of like four monkeys in a tight cage that we just like wind it up and see what happens. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yes, I was referring to myself as a monkey, but it's a little more tame and controlled when I'm able to control the dialogue a little bit. But hope you got something out of it for sure. And for you guys that are interested in that, keep your eyes open for a community survey. I'll throw that out there and see if I can't pulse the group and see what you guys would prefer on the channel. But with that said, I will be signing off. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys. We'll catch you on the normal scheduled uploads continuing through the weekend and into next week. All right. Be safe this holiday season, please. I can't reemphasize enough. None of this is worth anything. If you get crazy this holiday, man, do it safely and enjoy the families. Happy holidays to everybody. We're starting something, if not enjoying something very special as we close out 2019 and enter into 2020. So with that said, guys, I will sign off. Take it easy, guys. I really appreciate it. I will see you next week. Later.